Brew, I think will only ever play Overwatch one.
Brew not
Yeah,
into that console watch.
No, I can't. If I'm gonna play Overwatch, it's gonna be on PC because I don't stand a chance in hell of shooting anyone using a controller.
I'm pretty good at that Overwatch, they say. I got a lifetime KD of like 2 point something.
Look at you.
That's a long, almost 500 hours in the game too. So that's nothing to shake a tracer gun at. What games y'all been playing lately?
Yeah, I beat that. That was fun. The little crafting, witchcraft game.
Which one was that? Is it the one where you play the Raven?
Raven, non-generic, nondescript witch.
Might be a different one I'm thinking
Witch
of.
of the
This
Swamp.
might be. How do you? Let me go on my PlayStation right here and check it out. Is it with a Y?
It's spelled witch, WYTCH.
Just like my neighborhood. Oh, that's a different one. Okay. The one I was thinking of was Death's Door.
Also seen that one on the store.
Check it out. That's the one I keep when I was like, is that the one where you're a little raven? If you check it out, you literally play a raven who is a servant to a death god, and you go around like fighting like fucking magic frogs, and it's very like Studio Ghibli-esque for a game.
Okay.
You should check it out. I think you'd really be into Death's Door.
What was Witchwood? It was like there was a sleeping maiden or something like that, and she had to wake up, and then you made a deal with the devil who was a goat, something like that.
Standard fairy tale fanfare.
Yeah. I think the witch in that game was modeled after, like, or at least inspired by, like, the Baba Yaga, and it's designed because
you run around
had
on little chicken legs,
had chicken feet. Miguel 2020, hello. This is your first time here. Hello, welcome.
Welcome.
Here. Sorry, I didn't see. We do a little witchcraft podcast, occult, etc., and also whatever the hell's going on,
etc.
Have you been working, Sophia, or you been in a lull?
Nope, I've been in a sleep.
In a sleep? Enchanted sleep?
Nah, not that enchanted, no. Most of what I've been doing home is staying home, smoking weed and playing video games. Like, I did a little bit of work.
Yes.
That's the
for those who are following my apprenticeship, I only needed 2 more shows to work on to finish it, right? And I got one of those 2 shows. I did 3 days on it, so now I've got I think a little over 90 days on my apprenticeship, and I only needed 50. Jay, your camera's frozen for me for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I'm frozen or very still?
Yeah, I think he's just sitting still because he's moving.
Oh, for me, he's like staring off left like this. Watch.
Oh, am I stuck?
You're good on the stream, honey.
I guess that's all that matters.
Might just be me here. Give me 2 seconds.
I think that's a you issue.
I feel like I connect. Because I did.
I just reconnected to Discord, and that did it.
Yeah, I just rebooted our router because we were all playing Pokemon Unite yesterday.
Oh, did you actually do the reboot?
Yeah, I did while you were.
Oh, you're wonderful. Yeah, like I just got a brand new sold our Switch to Kenny Boy so he could play like Zelda and Mario Kart and stuff like that. And so of course in turn we got the new OLED version, which is nice because it has the direct LAN import, but of course we don't have enough ports in the back of our router to plug anything else in because we got the 2 computers, we got the TV, we got the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But like I was playing with Jay and Ken. Ken's on his phone, Jay's on his old Switch, and they're getting the results of the match still before me. Like I have to sit there and wait. I'm like, excuse me.
Oh, these first world technology problems. Back in my day, we would just plug in the console and then play the game.
I gotta wait 30 minutes for updates.
Right, exactly.
You know the interesting thing about the whole first world thing? Technically, that just means that they're NATO aligned. All it means for a third world country is to not be aligned with either Axis power. That's what it actually technically meant.
Really what that
but
is?
People, yeah, that was like an old.
I didn't know.
Could be getting it wrong, but it was like an old geopolitical term.
I believe it.
I pulled this from Bo of the Fifth Column, who I've referenced on this channel a million times, which will not surprise anyone. He was talking about how back when they came up with third world country, how it was actually like if you were a first world country, you were considered in NATO. And I believe a second world country was it was either at like enemy aligned or something else. I can't remember. And then the third world country was completely unaligned with either large forces. So then that term would often be used to apply to countries that were in the middle of nowhere because they wouldn't really have any military like global aspirations. So the term would get thrown around about them, but it doesn't explicitly mean an impoverished country, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I learned.
And first world doesn't explicitly mean a well-off country.
Yeah, it can't mean that because look at.
Yeah, the U.S. is actually pretty fucked if you think about it.
Yeah.
If you really want to talk about that, but that's just me keeping real takes on here.
Now talking about the state of this country, it's like I can't even put effort into it anymore. It's honestly just a circus, and all I can do is like vote and try to exist in.
I can. Have either of y'all watched the new Cyberpunk anime?
No, I have not seen that yet.
I don't know if y'all are into.
Are trans people supposed to hate Cyberpunk, or are we not supposed to hate Cyberpunk?
Why would trans people hate Cyberpunk?
All I know is that when Cyberpunk 2077, the new game was coming out, everyone was mad because of some ad in the game. Like there was like a billboard in the game.
I can tell you exactly what it is.
That's what
it's not a billboard. I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, I remember seeing it.
It's a beverage advertisement in the game because the game is very corporate or like capital realistic. And it says switch it up, and it's got as in like implying get a different flavor, and then it's got like a trans woman with a boner in a jumpsuit on the thing, and you can like very clearly tell she's got a boner.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were saying it was transphobic, like, oh, like it eroticized us.
Personally, I did not find
we're considered like something to switch it up. Honestly, every time I see it, it makes me laugh, and I'm kind of happy to see a chick with a dick in a game. That's my personal take. Not everybody was mad about it. We're not a monolith as a community, you know. I think as far as like Cyberpunk goes, let me put it this way: how many games let you choose your voice, your body, your gender, and your genitals exactly the way you want, and you can be trans? So you can be a dude with a vagina or a girl with a dick, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just straight up a thing. Or like you could look extremely femme and have a like vagina and everything and have a dude's voice, you know, like you have like your own scaling options of how you want to fucking do it. So in my personal opinion, I've been loving the game. Plus the fashion is extremely fucking queer. Like just like the options to dress your character up and how many like random characters you're gonna see in the game and oogle because of how good their clothes are. You're like, oh my god.
I don't know, it was just the most bizarre thing when like the hype lead up to that game coming out. Like there was one faction of people that were like, this game is awesome, super, you know, queer friendly, whatever, good representation. And there was another faction that was just like, if you buy this game, you're a shit trans person. Wow.
I
Judging
don't know.
people based on what we buy all the time.
I think online discourse needs to chill a little bit, and people who are permanently online need to start trying to take their
And
their
like go outside.
activism to outside spaces, because I find that a lot of those interactions, people don't spare somebody basic humanity. They have like this really weird internet attitude where, like, if they spoke to somebody in person, they'd see how their words and actions affect people and maybe dial it back a notch. But that's just my interpretation. But Cyberpunk's also a great narrative on a lot of stuff, right? And I was talking about the anime specifically from Netflix, right? Which actually kind of reinvigorated people to get back into the game, because it's been patched over the several years since it released, and it's actually like pretty fucking good now, right?
Is it cheap?
So full price. I got it on sale on Fire. It's actually a higher price now because they've done so much updates and the DLC is about to come out. But if you had bought it during the fire sale period where they put it back on the PlayStation Store and they were just trying to get sales of it, I picked it up for $20 fucking. And on my one playthrough, some people complained it was short. I've pumped in like, I think I'm close to 70 hours on my one playthrough, and I'm not even level 50, which is the cap, and I'm not even like a third of the way through the main story because I've just been putting it off and like doing gigs and role playing my character and like
all the side
upgrading
shit.
like cyberware. And there's actually a lot of different builds you can do with it too. I've been really enjoying it. Like in the anime, there's the main character uses a thing called Sandevistan, which was an implant I never used in the game, right? Because everything it works across board. Like the stuff in the board game is the same as the video game is the same as the anime, right? So the main character gets this high power Sandevistan, which is an implant that lets you slow down time. I didn't even know this existed. And then I go back to the game and I see that. I'm like, I can install one if I just get my reflexes up. So I'm working out on getting my character ready for her Sandevistan so she can fucking warp around people and go and shoot them in the head while time is slowed and get mass crit bonus for it.
If only we could do that in reality.
I mean, there's a lot of implications about Cyberpunk, though, that I like. That's more than just the whole, how cool would it be to have a metal arm? Like,
Right.
they really examine, like, how fucked up capitalism is and how far it'll go if we let it. They also really examine what getting so much implants put in you designed around killing people and like being violent, what that actually does to your psyche. Like you don't like they have this thing called cyberpsychosis, which is a way to explore what oh shit, I think I'm bleeding under my nail a little bit. Yeah, that sucks. And I can see through. Oh no, I'm not. That's just lipstick. Never mind. I thought I tore my nail. I got
Oh,
okay,
very
good
pretty, very
nail.
pretty.
Good
But
lord.
anyways, cyberpsychosis examines like what replacing a bunch of parts of you with like weaponry will do to a person, right? Like if you're just getting eye implants, oh my god, family, shut the fuck up. If you're just getting eye implants, it doesn't really do anything.
Right,
Or
yeah.
like say you got like leg reinforcements, you can run faster, like that's fine. It doesn't really do anything to you. But it's like when you start replacing your arms with like mantis blades so you can have like swords pop out of your limbs, or like when you replace your spinal column with a Sandevistan so that you can slow down time, right?
Right.
Is calling me on Snapchat and I need to silence these notifications.
I think every time you get a notification,
I love my family and I keep Snapchat on for them, but god damn it, having like 30 people in a call, like in a group chat constantly is horrible. It's fucking horrible.
My family had a group chat. It did not last
I don't ever read it or respond, and they'll like do like random fucking calls and have a bunch of like random messages. Anyways, but like it back to what I was talking about. So like if you're replacing your fingers with like guns to shoot people, like that does something to you,
Oh
right?
my god, that Daniel Radcliffe movie. That's all I think of. Guns
Um,
Akimbo.
ultimately I think some people took away from it that like Cyberpunk is like technology equals bad, grr. But that's not what they're saying, you know. If you like go to the source material, it literally says how like you get really twitched out and constantly hyped up by doing a bunch of violence, and replacing parts of you to do violence, right? So it makes sense that you're going to naturally want to jump towards that, rather than like, you know, talk it out or be chill. And that's kind of what cyberpsychosis is. It's where like you just go so far down the chrome train that you like start losing your connection to your humanity, and you start seeing other people as non-existent anymore, you know.
I feel like we're like some of us can feel like that without even cyber enhancement called Twitter.
That's the allegory, though. That's the allegory, 100%, because they want to draw the parallel between how we don't have good usage of our technology ourselves, as opposed to like even in the future. Like,
We really don't have a good grasp on, because like for all the technology that we have, like I just see it from just like at a work level. We have all these goddamn programs and software and this and that, and none of it works right. It's always glitching. It's always like,
mhm,
you know what I mean? And like we spend more time like fucking around with I don't know. Technology was supposed to save us time, and yet we're all working harder and longer than we've ever worked before. So it's like, well,
mhm.
doesn't make any sense. We do have a viewer in the chat, Miguel. They were saying that they're in an online book club and they're currently reading Heck. Is that the name of a book? I have not heard of that before, but that sounds very
If you have a link for that, I would love to hear it.
yeah. I don't know if links are enabled. Oh
Oh yeah, I guess that would be a Twitch setting, wouldn't it?
yeah. I think you can post links. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have block hyperlink on.
Cool.
Yeah, if you want to drop a link to that book, sweet. Awesome.
But yeah, I've just been thinking about like the ramifications of like just this genre as a whole, and how it like really reflects on capitalism gone to a hyper extreme, and like realistically the future that people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos want.
Yeah, and like I can't. Part of me wonders because like a lot of us like even myself, sometimes I find myself split between imagining a future that is like dystopian hellscape, you know, capitalism is out of control, like basically, you know, cyberpunk, right? So like sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
picture something like that as I have this like cyberpunk looking backdrop behind me. Hilarious. But um one half of me like thinks, you know, I envision that as the future. And then the other part of me like envisions this like, okay, we realize that climate change is really fucking bad and the planet's going to be destroyed if we don't come up with some fucking solutions like right now. And then I picture this like almost futuristic like hybrid utopia, you know, like everyone's has like a green wall in their house of like living breathing plants and shit, and like I don't know, I just picture like futuristic sustainability.
If
Yes.
only, my friend. If only.
But I don't know. It doesn't seem like a lot of people that are very rich and powerful and that have the means to like put this kind of stuff into production. It doesn't seem like they're very interested in preserving the planet and you know
They
making
will
sure.
be once they've cornered the markets on it.
Right, yeah. I mean like a lot of people are getting into solar now. Like there's a lot of companies getting into solar tech,
Hmm.
stuff like that I've seen. You know, it's like they won't get into it unless it's fucking profitable. So once it becomes profitable to like what drives me nuts is I see a bunch of commercials for like COVID, like there's this service specifically for COVID-19. It's called something like that, whatever it is.
Q.
Yeah, Q. And like it's an app, and then you take a picture of your positive test, and then it connects you with a doctor, and then they connect you, they give you the drugs, but it's not fucking free. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's a service for it, or like there's a fee or whatever. And
there's always a fee.
It's just like you're not like this company was not created to help people. It was created to make money, and you kind of also help people that have like COVID or whatever. But like I don't know. The idea behind that company, it was not to help people, it was to make money, and you can tell. And it just sucks.
It usually is. It usually is.
Oh, we have Wikipedia, a wiki link about a glitch in the Matrix. Ooh. Eric Davis. Okay, so technosis, myth, magic, and mysticism in the age of information. Why do I feel like I recently saw this book somewhere?
I don't know.
But the title of the book is Technosis, Myth, Magic, and... I'll leave that wiki link for us to share. Thank you, Miguel, for supplying that link. I'm going to be picking up that book, definitely. Are you playing Cyberpunk now?
I have it on in the background, but only really inventory screen. It's a game you have to pay a lot of fucking attention to, right? Because like you're going around, you're infiltrating, you're hacking, you're reading, you're talking to people. Like it's an interactive experience. Like I have it paused. It's not like you can really play. It's not like Overwatch, or where I could just play that shit in the background and zone out and talk about whatever.
I can't do that with Overwatch. There ain't no way. Like I hyper fixate on that. Super serious mode. Maybe I tried.
Well, you saw me. You saw me back in the day. I used to stream it. It used to be my game, right? So, kind of trying to make it my game again.
Yeah.
Since I'm fucking good at it.
Going pro.
Nah. To go pro, I'd have to go mouse and keyboard. Which I've actually considered getting for when I'm playing with my PC friends, because when you're in PC lobbies, it's not fair unless I'm playing certain heroes, and it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid that and balancing. God, we haven't talked about magic in a while, have we?
Everything is magic.
Well, I mean, there's a really good graph or picture that I can fish out of my what's it called, phone, and it's a pendulum swinging, and it's like one side it literally says everything is madness, and then the other side says, or everything is magic, and then the other side says nothing is magic. And the everything is magic, it says approaching madness, and then on the nothing is magic it says what's it called, approaching, I'm just gonna have to find it on my phone, hang on. Everything is magic is approaching madness, and everything and nothing is magic is I think approaching stagnation, and then in the middle it says false feeling of stagnation, and it says actual, where the actual magic. I'm gonna find it, load it. Anyways, don't wait on me.
Yeah, there are some magical things that I've actually developing and studying. So like I had off this whole week from work. I put in PTO so that way I could like get a lot of stuff together. I ended up organizing like a lot of stuff that's in my house. I finally counted up all the like food donations from Bacon Pride. I finally got that all done, which was 308 pounds of food. awesome. But now I have to find a day to donate that. But I got a lot of things done, and I've been reading. I've been reading a lot with like reading up a lot about Merlin. He's been popping up a lot. Kind of
We
like
started watching the show.
yeah, we started watching the show Merlin too. I thought that it's a lot of fun. Obviously we don't really know what is exactly fact in tales and live in the life surrounding Merlin. So any story that we get is fun. Um, and then I did a little little working with Ellis the other day while Rue was at work. That was really nice because I finally got our back bedroom kind of cleared out, and I'm using it as like a little meditation study kind of space. I have like a nice little space dedicated. Um. Oh, right. Kabbalah keeps entering my life. So I realized that I've been avoiding studying Kabbalah forever in my like magical um adventures. Are you there, Sophia?
Yes.
Okay. I
I'm
see
here.
your camera flicking up.
I posted the image that I was looking for, both in Inner Circle and Voice to Text. Ba-da-ba-da.
I see. Yeah, so Kabbalah keeps like popping up in my life. Like every time I'm reading a book, I was reading this book about Merlin and it was referencing things from Kabbalah. I'm reading this book about this and it's referencing Kabbalah. I'm reading something about tarot and it's referencing Kabbalah. And I'm like it's just such a big it's such a big topic, a dense topic to get. But I was
I have friends that
downstairs, I was rummaging through the book donations that we got for Pagan Pride, and there was like a beginner's guide to like magical Kabbalah. So I was like, I'm gonna read this before I donate this book. I'm just gonna read this real quick and then donate it.
Also, if you're interested on the subject, Ahava knows a great deal of Kabbalah. I think so does Well Done on the server, and Fish might. I'm not 100 on that, but you check in with them, and they often will like sit in voice chat and have like long discussions where like somebody will ask questions and like Ahava will give answers and whatnot, and they'll have like a back and forth dialogue. It's pretty cool.
Maybe we could do an episode on it. Kind of fun.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a tough one to do.
Well,
Simply.
it could be fun, sort of like an introductory, exploratory, like surface level kind of discussion of Kabbalah, just like kind of go over like some basic concepts of it. I haven't even opened this book yet. I keep looking at it because I feel like it's just this big daunting thing for some reason.
I know a little bit of it. I don't want to say I know a decent amount or anything, but like I used to look into other people's systems to better understand them, because if my philosophy always has been, if I have a close ally who works a system that's different than mine, I want to know how it works so I can work with them, right? So when when I was in DKMU, I used to have long conversations with Ahava about Kabbalah, and the cool thing about it is it's just so tangible and so fucking good at explaining things and like modes of being and certain things about like magic and like how to navigate the universe itself, like it's some real shit. And I don't want to like oversimplify it or put it into a box, because I feel like I would do it irreparable damage. Maybe not irreparable, but I don't want to misrepresent it,
Right? You don't want people crawling out of the woodwork like, actually, like, whoa.
Well, that
Never
I'm
claimed to
just
be an
like really
expert.
happy. I'm just like really happy to admit exactly where my knowledge begins and ends. Like, I don't put myself on as an expert of anything, because I'm not. I don't put myself on as like somebody who's like super connected through like lineage or tradition, because I'm not, and I'm always like trying to reconnect and find connections, right? So, you know, ultimately, it's just me thinking, you know.
Yeah,
At the end of the
I
day,
think
trust yourself more than you trust what I say.
I think a Kabbalah episode could be a lot of fun. And I know Fish, she loves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to have her on.
What about you, Sophia? What have you been doing? Studying anything? What's been your focus, or have you been taking a break?
I mean, I've been having that personal shit that I've been going through, like I told you last time we talked. So I've just been kind of like floating right now and not really knowing what I'm gonna do. I've been, I don't know, kind of getting back to transition stuff a little bit recently, like because I saved up money for getting my tits done. Hooray!
Woo.
And yeah, and I also like wanted to bleach my hair and go blonde at least to try it once, because like pre transition I saw like that was the type of woman I saw the most, and I kind of like internalized that a little bit, and I'm like, well, fuck it, I want to try being blonde just once to see if it works, you know. And if it does, I'll stay with it, and if it doesn't, you know, I'll let it grow out and then switch off onto something else, right? And just kind of trying to see if I can get into like actual relationship shit, because like I'm in my 30s, you know, so like I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't say I'm doing mundane shit right now, but sometimes you got to spend a little bit of time sorting out your clusterfuck of a life. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, we all have to exist on the plane, so and that comes with a certain, I don't know, a certain list of responsibilities that we have to
Yeah.
ourselves.
hmm So, my life's been less filled with like magic and wonder and ooh, although like actually it's still been pretty good. Like plenty of shit still happens. Like, my close friend ended up working on the same job as me, and we didn't end up recognizing each other, for certain reasons. I was joking it's because I had a Saturn square on me, but
Mhm.
also they were in costume, and
Ah,
we hadn't seen each other for a while. And they didn't know I was working on that show, right? So anyways, they got like their entrance into the Screen Actors, not Screen Actors Guild, sorry, ACTRA, which is the acting guild union out here, which
mhm.
is awesome. They got that on the same show that I was working on all summer. And it just so happened to be at the shoot place where we were right next to that famous witch apothecary that Scott was like, no way, you went to Seven Sisters?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm so jealous. I'm like, what? And they're like, he's just like anyone has been there. And
It's
I'm
like
like, oh
a
my God.
it's a famed. So
Yeah,
Miguel
well,
was saying here that about, I guess in reference to when we were talking about Kabbalah, yeah, was Evangelion. That's an anime, right? A lot of I've heard that a million times because
Neon Genesis Evangelion, yeah.
yeah, it's like a good way to like I guess if you're studying Kabbalah, maybe like watch that.
No.
No, don't.
So how do I put it?
Or is it like a fictionalized
There's a
twist on
lot
it?
of he didn't okay, so the guy who made it literally says it's not based on Kabbalah and
Hmm.
that any representations in it are accidental, and that he was like using it as like source material, but it's not like supposed to be a representation of Kabbalah, even though he does hit certain themes on the head pretty hard
So
without
he drew
realizing it. Like,
inspiration from.
well, here's one of the things that I find that's much more accurate in Evangelion, or Evangelion, however you want to say it. The angels who come in to kill humanity look a lot more like angels than, or biblical fucking angels, than like what you see in modern Catholicism with like cherubs looking like fucking blonde haired curly fucking young kids or whatever,
Right,
right?
yeah.
In reality, a cherub is like a fucking multifaceted being which has like eyes coming out of every part of its goddamn head, and it's like a pillar that holds up reality. And like an ephanium is the kind that you see that has like the multiple wheels interlocking with each other.
Mm.
Because there's different kinds, right? And then there's like seraphim, which are like giant snakes made out of eyes and teeth.
It sounds more like the monsters in Bayonetta.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, biblical angels ain't like some fucking.
No, they are not.
They'll be all be not afraid and all because they look terrifying.
Be not afraid. You're terrifying. I said be not afraid.
What if I said pretty please?
Did you mention like
Goddamn.
being an angel, right? Like that must be tough, right? Like you're an angel, so like you're pretty cool, I guess, and you have all these cool powers, angel powers, but then like people are terrified of you when you show up to help them. It's gotta be
I
like
had an
really
encounter.
difficult.
I had an encounter with one time. Did I ever tell you about that?
Like you saw like a biblical like
Yes.
with the different eyes and stuff like.
Yes. So first time I was high on mushrooms, I went outside and meditated. And very quickly, like I noticed these lines started to follow up and like intersect like this. And it kind of like pulled me into this space and angles shifted and stuff started forming out of these like intersecting lines, right? And then like all of a sudden like they kind of formed like faces and like bodies, and they were made out of just eyes, right? And they were like making pillars that held up like reality. I'm gonna do a photo of this. You can Google it real quick though if you want. It's Tool 10,000 Days album art.
Oh, cool.
I like went to this place actually, and I didn't know that that's what it was until afterwards when I saw this art.
Oh, this. Okay, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna post the picture again in voice text. Actually no, I'll post a link, I guess. Boom, there you go. Silence, Neobot. No, I'm kidding. Thank you. Yeah, so I saw that, but instead of like galaxies, they were like eyes, and they didn't like crown out quite so much. But I like very clearly saw one of them like up in my face, and it saw me, and it tripped me the fuck out. And after I got out of the meditation and I went back to like what I was doing, after like the next time I like closed my eyes like this and like took a deep breath, like it was like right there in front of me staring at me in like my mind's eye, and it kind of freaked me the fuck out a little bit, right? And this also is prior to like what ended up happening with my like having a close encounter with a UFO. Like I don't think that they're necessarily like this caused it or anything, but I didn't have my UFO encounter until sometime after this, like a couple months later. So I don't know. I originally thought it was a fucking alien or something I had seen, right? But it was a Hava who's like, no, that's a cherubim.
Wow.
A cherub, which is I might be saying it wrong, but it's basically what people call caribs or cherubs.
A really intense
Yeah. So that there you have it from me. My first encounter with a non-physical being like that, because holy shit, they exist. And they're fucking freaky too.
I had an interesting a couple weeks ago. We had COVID a couple weeks ago. Yay.
Oof.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I was reading what Miguel wrote here. This is what they wrote. I wonder why people are eager to become angels and not to become totally cybernetic. Both things are not existing to fulfill human. Both talk often, but unifying with an all-knowing. They just seem like different ways. Like, truly, what is the difference between being a cybernetically enhanced human being and being an angel? Yeah, I suppose, because, like, it's, like, depicted a lot. Even in that show Supernatural that we watch, like, the angels, they're not all, like, super, yay, we love humanity. They actually kind of, are detached from us. Some of them.
In most media, angels are represented as kind of indifferent of humanity.
Oh, because from what I've understood, they aren't like super friendly or there to like be your bro. They're there to serve a
Right.
function. With the
Exactly.
explicit exception of Mikhail. Mikhail is a bro and he will show up to help you regardless of your religion or your association. Like even if you're an apostate ex-Catholic, he will show up if you're like dealing with some like reality intrusion shit. He'll be like, "Sup, homie, got your back," and come in and like with his flaming sword and cut some shit's head off, and then just like peace out.
I can confirm that because Michael's been popping up a lot, and like I'm not really Catholic ball or anything, but like, it's been popping up a lot for me. I even wound up getting a necklace sword on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's been, but it's definitely helped me a lot. Like as I was like cleaning and organizing my house, because I really felt like I was like cutting through like a lot of just like stagnant energy that had kind of built up. Really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh fuck, I'm getting old. My hips hurt, man.
That's been like, oh right, back
The
when we
theme
were
of the
saying
day.
about back when we had COVID. So like I always say like sometimes like spirit interaction and stuff like that for me is very difficult, or like connections like ancestors, stuff like that. But we do
Mm-hmm.
have an ancestor altar in our dining room, and we have a statue of Iris on it. So she's a messenger goddess.
Ooh.
And so I figured that was it was a good place to put this statue, because like when you're speaking to your ancestors, I mean, you're delivering a message, and you want them to kind of like
Mm-hmm.
send you a message back. So, Brew had a particularly difficult time with COVID, and hit them a bit harder than it hit me. So, there was that
No
one.
fun.
Um, so there was one point where I kind of went to the ancestor altar. I'd made myself a cup of coffee, and I just felt called to make a second cup of coffee, and I put the coffee on the altar, and I figured, well, it's a lot of old like Italian people, so I'm sure we all love coffee. So let's have some coffee, and I put it on the altar, and I lit our candle. I kind of just like kneeled before the altar, just very like just kind of like sat there, kneeled there, and I was like, listen, we really need some help, like just a little boost, like a little, so if any kind of like a little message, a dream, a whisper, knock something over, anything, like anything you could possibly do to kind of give a little boost
Mm-hmm.
for them. That And I kind of just left it at that, and I just walked away. I left the coffee there, I had the candle lit, and I kind of just went about my day, or more like vegging out on the couch. And then Rue woke up from their nap, and was like saying, oh, I lit the ancestor here, and I left an offering out, and like they immediately started crying. I felt so bad, but it was like a good cry,
Aw.
and I was like, "What? Like, what happened?" And they had a dream that what was it, that you got a letter? Do you remember?
I honestly cannot remember any of this.
Really? So I remember. So it
Sorry.
was, yeah.
I
No,
had
it's fine. Fine. Like I said, it did hit you a lot harder than it hit me. So I remember you were like crying, and you were like, it was your Aunt Angel had sent you a letter, a dream. No, you couldn't read. Like it was one of those like you didn't open the letter, you didn't read the letter, but like it was addressed to both of us. That's what you saw, but it was a letter, and then you like kind of woke up. But yeah, So I had this moment where I was like, so I just because like I always say that sometimes I'm a very cynical witch, right? So like I have to prove it to myself very often. And so the fact that like I was like, okay, so I went to the ancestor altar, I did, I left my offering, I lit my candle, I said what I needed to say, and I got this very like immediate direct result, and I was like, well then, that was interesting. I think that's kind of my little witchy revelation that I've had recently. I'm like, maybe I'm a little bit better with spirit work than I originally thought. I don't know. Or just something about offering a nice big cup of coffee. It woke them all up, and they were like, "Yeah." All I could think of was this comedy video. It's like like that Italian guy who's like, "You want some coffee? You want some coffee?" And he's like running
I
down
got
the
some
block
coffee
with
for you, bud. Come on over.
he's like running down the block with the coffee pot. You want some coffee? You want some coffee? It's so good.
That's fucking awesome, though.
So oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I was like, that happened? Man, that
Yeah, you were in a liminal state. Don't worry about it.
day.
Da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-do.
No, that reminded just today actually. We went up to we had some cash on hand, which is rare for us, so we went to our favorite antique flea market. It's only about 30 minutes away. And that's actually where we found the iris statue, and where we found a lot of cool witchy things. We got some railroad spikes, and so we went back up there today. Found some interesting things. Got some crystals. Got this really nice. It's a Nippon. I can't.
Nippon
Wow, I just
porcelain?
blanked on
Is
the
that what it was?
porcelain. That was it. Nippon porcelain bowl. It had this this flower golden pattern all over it. I don't know why the hell. I was like, I would like this, and it was only $20, so I couldn't help myself.
Hit that shit.
Right. But yeah, so very nice day. And then as we're leaving, you're the road that you that the thrift market flea market is on, and that you take to get back to the highway, is called River Road, and it's literally it's on the Jersey side of the Delaware River, so like you can see the river, and you can see almost see across the PA. And we're driving, and at the same time, both me and Jay saw something, but we saw two completely different somethings. And I was confused because I thought we saw the same something, but we were seeing it in two different ways. But what I saw, which was incredibly like occulty and seemed like a sign, was three large black uh like turkey vultures or something, literally feasting on a deer carcass.
I did not see that. I saw a giant pile of black rocks like on the side of the road
And that's what Jay saw.
that were like moving into the shoulder, but it was just funny because I was the passenger and I was looking at the road.
And I was looking in the park.
Driving, looking over at the park. I was like, So I looked up this oh, thank you, I was looking up Nippon porcelain. The Nippon era began in 1891 when the Japanese porcelain was clearly marked Nippon due to the McKinley Tariff Act. This act required that all porcelain be marked with the country of origin. Nippon literally translates to Japan. The porcelain was made specifically to be exported to the West with designs and patterns that suited American tastes. Wow, so it was like Japanese porcelain work that was specifically designed with like American interest.
I thought Nippon meant rabbit in Japanese.
I don't know.
I don't
So,
know.
according
I know
to
Nihon means Japanese. or Japan.
NipponCollectorsClub.com, that's where I'm at.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, we got the bowl. We got some crystals. Oh, we got some keys.
Yeah, it's a really good place for
to find
like
skeleton keys.
yeah, for skeleton keys. Got a lot of
Oh, and I got some
Oh,
lavender.
I got some skeleton keys too. I got them on a hangout with that friend who I was talking about earlier.
I realize
Yeah.
one of my strengths with magic, like stuff that I'm really good at, is I have an eye for like little
Finding shit.
things. Yeah, just like finding things, and I make a lot of charms and stuff like that. That's stuff that I'll be putting up in the shop. We almost had a bank account, but we have to change something on the work. So
Yeah,
that'll be next week.
so close.
We're so close. So close
Yeah,
to being in
everybody's kind of
business.
got their own witch talents, you know. Like, I actually managed to prove magic to a few people who didn't believe it this summer while I was on the jobs that I was on. That's always a really good feeling.
Hell yeah.
It's not even like they were like, I don't believe in magic. They just like were people who
Like on the
weren't
fence
like
about it.
actively. No, they just weren't active. What is it? Active practitioners, you know. Like I hadn't even talked to them about it because I try to not be like that witch at the workplace, you know.
Right.
Especially working in film, right? I don't want to be like, but you know, if I know somebody's into it, I might mention it briefly or talk about it. And there's different instances where I did magic to make shit happen where like people what was it? I actually proved it to people who didn't necessarily believe in it beforehand, right? So that's, like I said, it's always a good feeling. Also, this one guy who like completely didn't believe in it, and then next thing you know, I proved it to him, and he was like kind of freaking out a little bit, and he didn't want it.
People are like, "Oh, I don't know if I want about this. Like, I might just leave
Well,
it here."
it breaches into very specific and weird territories, you know? Like, I have a spell that I do where I make a deal with the Fae to return a lost item, and I pay them. A lot of people will just like ask for a favor and then go to pay them later, but often forget. And my method is to pay them when asking for the favor, and if they accept, then I pay them again. And if they don't, well, the first payment's just for asking for their time and asking for the favor, right?
That's actually
And
a
when you
really good idea because, like, honestly, that's kind of how it works. Like, if if you're contracting someone to do a job, commissioning someone to do, what are you at? Like, that's really what you're doing when you're going to the Fae or some other entity. Up, you're commissioning someone job for you, and so they want payment up front. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and especially with the Fae. I mean, they're very much into payment up front is way to go. But definitely like following up with like secondary offering. That's probably why you have a good
yeah,
understanding.
because I don't fuck around and waste their time, and I don't like be belligerent. I only really ask once with a lost item, right? I even created an entire egregore to interface with that was kind of based around this entire phenomenon, and named it. And my friend did a sigil for it. That one's Anishaya in the DKMU second wheel God form progression. So it works very interestingly and very successfully, you know. I almost want to think that like it's more of like a family of spirits than it is just like a singular one, you know.
Miguel was Miguel was saying in the chat, I've never done magic. Prove it to make my job less stressful. It worked. It worked. But everyone else at work is just, what the fuck happened? It's funny to advertise. What did you do, if you don't mind sharing? General overview, or if you want to share the actual spell, Community Grimoire. But yeah, I'm really curious what all went into your spell to make your job less stressful, because I would love to know that, and I would love to also do that if it was so successful.
Yeah, hi, Miguel. real here. I almost like quit like 18 times this week. So if y'all could like share that on the Grimoire, that would be great because I don't want to die from hate of my job. I can't
I can't stop looking at myself. I didn't shave November, and I'm like regretting it.
baby. Yeah, but
I
it's
know,
already
I'm
growing
so baby.
back.
I
It's
know,
like
but you
it's
can't
only the
see it
6th.
on the. I look like I'm bald everywhere 'cause you can't see my eyebrows either. I promise you. It's just.
I swear I have hair.
It's there, I promise.
My hair, it's there.
No, I just like look like a child. I don't know.
I
Who is
got
By
this
the
child?
carded
way,
buying the booze too, honey. It's fine.
Oh, you got carded at the drag
I got
bingo?
carded, so and
Wow.
I look like a old hag.
It was funny. Me and Katie went to see AFI.
Oh gosh.
That Friday night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like the whole time we were like, man, my back hurts. Oh shit. Like like shit, when did we become old? Also the first band, I'm sorry if anyone likes this band, Drab Majesty. I don't listen.
Who puts drab
Who puts
in the
Drab in the
title
band name?
of
Also,
your
just gonna
band
say,
name?
Rue, you said, when did we get old? And the answer was 30. At 30, you became old.
Oh,
That's
I'm
it.
aware. I'm aware. I wasn't ready. It was fucking Corona times. It was like my 30th birthday never fucking happened.
Right. Like 30. When did I hit 30?
No, in all actuality, we got married and then the world ended.
Yeah, that's pretty much what.
Miguel, I work with egregores. Job was stressful. We were severely understaffed. I feel that. I made an egregore. It worked, but not as well as I wanted. So in the end, now I have 3 egregores working together to bring in new employees. Interesting. I do
I'm not
have.
gonna lie, you have no idea how much it trips me out to be one of the people who like was really integral to the creation of modern egregore culture in theory, and to see so many people like doing it now, and I'm just like, okay, that's buck wild.
You have the sense of like my babies. Like
Well, no, it's the sense of surreality of like when you create something and then other people pick up and run with it, and like when you make sigils and other people end up using them, like I'm sure everybody and their dogs heard of Photomechus or Photamicus, right? And that was Fish's baby. It's not to say that she's the only person who worked on or made Photamicus, but she's one of the people in the group that was focusing on making it, right? And spun it up, right? And there's very specific art to egregore making, and like we kind of really pioneered that theory in DKMU as like a think tank, right? And that's also the kind of interesting thing I keep coming back to with the group, right? Is that like whether or not you've heard of us because you've run across our material, even if it's been influenced by other people who haven't explicitly said it's DKMU stuff,
yeah,
right?
like
Like I saw like this one pagan author who I don't know who the fuck it was, but Scott was talking about they have a book coming out called God Forms and Egregores, and like that's literally one of the titles of one of our books is DKMU God Forms and Egregores, right? Like putting it together identically like that is like I wouldn't say it's blatant rip off, but it's basically taking the meat of our structural work and not actually really giving us shout outs for it. And I feel like half the time it's not even necessarily intentional. Like not like people don't realize that that's where the theory comes from. They've just picked it up and think that it's like modern chaos, a culture, you know, when it's like actually coming from somewhere. Like theory this advanced doesn't just develop itself out of nowhere, right? Like you always have a think tank that does it, whether it's like IoT or whatnot, but I promise you it's not fucking CMG on Facebook. Let me tell you what.
I guess DKMU is an interesting. There's so much intense, serious. Like it's very serious, right? Like in the work that is
Sometimes.
produced. But it's also very not serious in the way that it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's this, like you say, it's a pirate port. It's this gathering. It's this
It's the
drop
classic
in,
choose
drop
your own
out.
level of engagement thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you don't have to do anything. Some people will never do anything serious. And because you don't have to do anything specific, some people will only do the serious shit, right? Like some people will come in there and not really be one for like rubbing elbows and doing like the social climbing or whatever the fuck. And we encourage people not to do social climbing. Let me get it straight, right?
Yeah,
But
because
also
people can see right through that. Like that's just kind of how the community, the people that kind of, I guess the crew that run the place, they kind of can see right through that.
mhm. And that's the thing too, is like because we've been so influential, there are a lot of people who show up that have really in-depth conversations, and there's some really fucking next level theory crafting that goes on there. And like there's a lot of authors who straight up come in to either like read what we're talking about or like get in on the dialogue, even if they don't like come in and announce themselves and be like, I am this person, I am here,
Right.
with the exception of some really cool people who actually do come in and we want them to announce themselves like that so we can have fucking cool conversations like Dave Smith.
I really liked our discussion.
He is amazing and he's a comrade in every way that I can imagine.
Comrade.
No, but I was saying,
Also,
DKMU is in an interesting position because it's not this like it doesn't do the work that it does for the intent of getting credit for it. You know what I mean? It doesn't do it. It just does it because this is the work that happens. You know what I mean? We're occultists. We're studying magic. We're experimenting. This is what it is. But at the same time, there is like you're like, like it would be cool if would a little bit crediting where some of these things come from.
it's tough. I think that's part of the problem of not publishing your own material through like financial distribute or not financial distributors, but like proper publishing houses, right? Because when you do that, then you kind of gain this weird ephemeral kind of control over the material itself because people can't copyright you without your publisher going hand to hand in a legal battle with them, right? So a lot of people will always make sure they're like citing a source or like not doing that. And if they do rip you off, well, then you can fucking take them to court over it and have like fucking stuff get dealt with, right? But the problem when you do pro bono work for the community where you're volunteering your time to theory craft and make new shit, and then you put it out for free so that everybody can access it, you often have people who will just take advantage of that, right? And you have people who will take advantage of it not even realizing that's what they're doing,
Yeah, Miguel was saying I didn't realize where the ideas behind egregores came from. Read it in
So
Liber Null and had conversation.
yes, Liber Null technically like invented, well, not invented, talked about like servitors, and egregores is not like a concept that we created. They're originally, the Latin word means group mind, right? But how they get spooled up and a lot of their modern usage, in my understanding, was DKMU stuff. But I'm gonna be dead ass honest with you. I never read Liber Null, and he could have actually been on it before I did. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the first time I've had someone be like, actually, that was in Liber Null beforehand, and I was like, really? Okay. So, you know, yeah,
But
Carol
it's
might have
like you
beat
were
us to it.
saying. It's like you were saying earlier, though. Like modern egregore work, though. Like DKMU really.
Yeah, people didn't really kind of create designer god forms beforehand, right? Like egregore, I guess, yeah. If Carol beat us to it, he beat us to it, right? But I don't know. I feel like god forms are a little bit different, especially in like the spice variant that DKMU kind of pops them out. Huh. Well, good to know that Carol once again beat me to it. There was another thing where I was like, "Oh, I came up with this." It was like
Fire
fire and
and
forget
forget.
spellcrafting. Yeah, and then Fish is like, "No, no,
No, he
Peter
was
Carroll
kidding.
had that in the 70s, and I'm like, are you kidding me? That one I didn't even like read out of a book. I came up with it just by noticing it fucking worked. Like, son of a bitch.
Well, if anything, that just reinforces what, Peter Carroll was writing about then, you know what I mean? It just reinforces it, and you're all right, yeah,
I
that's
know. And if anything, it verifies that something's not UPG, which is unverified personal gnosis. And it's actually like pretty powerful if multiple people can come to the same conclusion independent of each other, right? So I ain't gonna complain about it, you know. We don't have to be the people who created fucking egregore theory if Carol
no.
beat us to it.
I
But
was I
yeah,
was thinking about, like, in terms of like sharing information, because like in the early days of the internet, man, like we didn't care if we were being paid for the shit that we were
mhm,
online. And now there's like this really big push to like monetize everything. Like that's why I'm so like I really want to grow the community grimoire that we have, because I want it to be like something that someone just stumbles upon. Oh shit, like I can just there's all kinds of shit in here that I can just use and I don't have to like pay for
mhm.
it or subscribe or whatever.
So I actually have a little bit of a rant to go on in regards to that.
Mm.
I feel like a part of the problem with how the witchcraft community has changed is how so many witches view themselves like there's this weird above the line, below the line mentality where like if you're somebody who can make a living off of your witchcraft and you never have to like do something outside of it to get your to like have a living, you're considered like one of those people who are so good that like you don't need to worry about other things. You just got it in your craft. You know what I mean? And there's like I don't know, a lot of comparisons that get made, and I feel like at one point it was considered that like the author which archetype was very desirable and like people really wanted to be that, and like that was what the end goal was. And if it wasn't like the author, it was like the um what's it called, like the tarot reader, but it was
Right.
always this idea of like somebody who's making bank off their craft and can live off of it because of the power of what they're bringing to the table. You know
I
what I mean?
guess, yeah, I
And I feel
think
like hustle culture's kind of crept into witchcraft a little bit, and it's kind of fucking disgusting, being honest.
yeah, because it's like a fine line between I know what you like sometimes you're like, all
Hmm.
right, are you just doing this just to hustle some money? Like, are you just doing this because you need some extra cash, or are you doing this because you think this is a thing that needs to be done at this point in time? Or
Yeah.
I know
So
what you.
like you get people who like they
That's why
kind of
like
tie.
my focus for like in terms of any sorts of monetization with the podcast or even like having the shop, like my whole idea is that like we're an occult supplier, like we supply you with tools to do magic, like that we're not
Mhm.
trying to really claim to anything else other than a supplier, you know?
I mean, yeah, I have mixed feelings on it too. There's nothing wrong also with like being somebody who has like I'll put it this way. There's nothing wrong with being the person who's like making money off of your craft through selling books because that
Right.
knowledge has to get preserved and passed on, right? And I know some pretty fucking rad authors, and I think that it would be terrible idea and theory to say that, people who are helping advance the currents of magic and practice itself are somehow bad because they're making money doing it, right? If anything, that just increases the validity that like, hey, magic can stand on its own two legs and it doesn't need you to do anything for it. It can operate on its own, right? And there's also the other side to it too, though. What I'm saying is that hustle culture has crept into magic. And I think that trying to place a value on a practitioner based on their ability to access money with it is a bad gauge, because like magic exists far outside of just capitalism, right? And I'm sure like
I guess it's kind
anybody
of this
who's actually a
idea.
practitioner understands that, right?
Yeah, it sort of perpetuates this idea like you're not a successful quote, air quotes, a successful witch magic practitioner unless you can
Right.
your livelihood. You're not
Which is
successful.
stupid.
It's like, well, no, that's just not accurate. Because like
Because like, what
Thorn
about the witches who
Mooney,
live in the fucking woods who do nothing with capitalism but can fucking split a
right?
stone with their evil eye? You know.
Exactly. Like Thorn Mooney's a really good like example of that. So like she's a witch, she's an author, she does this and that. But like also I believe she works in publishing. But I'm pretty sure that's what the industry she works in. But she's very much dedicated to having her career. Like being a witch full time is not like her whole thing. She's like, I really like this career path that I've gone down. So like, but that doesn't make her any less successful. It doesn't make her any less of a witch because she doesn't want to quote be a witch full time, because you're always a witch full time. It doesn't matter if you work at an Amazon warehouse or not. You
I don't
are
know
a
how
witch
you.
all the
Yeah,
time.
that's a whole ass conversation right there. I don't know how you could ever get out of being a witch.
Right.
Ever.
It's like, even though you have to, maybe like downplay it or hide it, or it's just not appropriate all the time to be talking about witchcraft. Like,
Well, there's a difference. Okay, hold up. There's a difference between talking about it and being it, right? Like I'm never not going to be, for example, a bottom, right?
right,
But I'm not gonna go around everybody I talk about and talk about fucking sex and kink shit, right?
right,
I think it's the same thing with magic, right? You don't need to whip your mage dick out and plop it on the table every fucking conversation, right? And some people have certainly woven their entire
that
personality and sense of self around
happened.
that.
That happened at our friend Jim had his first ever
Of
Samhain
course, it happened.
witches ball.
Hmm.
So
This is my surprised face.
yeah. I witnessed it firsthand. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Not ever, but so like we were having this ball, like Jim's getting the place set up, then this guy pops in. Oh hey, what are you guys doing here? We're having this event, blah blah blah. Turns out he's part of the whatever occult community. He came down from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Who just comes at like New York's like 2.5 hour drive away. Like we're all the way down here for that. Anyway, so he's like, oh, from New York, whatever. And then he's like, can I come back? We're like, oh, it's sold out, whatever. So anyway, Jim ends up just being like, yeah, dude, just come back, like whatever, get your ticket, whatever. So he does come back, and Scott was our reader for the night. And at some point, this dude, like, he just gave off vibes. Like, it was just like, you could tell he was there just to be like, I'm the superior mage to all you, blah, blah. Like, you could just tell he had, like, that vibe about him. And Scott was our tarot reader for the night. And, this dude asked Scott if he could read cards.
Oh my god.
And believe it or not, Scott's. But
Oh, because Scott gets pressured easy.
no, it really wasn't even that. It was just that Scott couldn't get a read on the guy. So Scott was like, "All right, well, if you handle my deck, then I'll be able to get some kind of like reading on you." Turns out that the dude had it turned into like there was more things happening, but which I can get into kind of like probably
I am
off
the bigger
recording
mage than
of
you.
the guy basically left a calling card essentially after doing the reading of Scott's deck. But it was just sort of this confirmation of like, dude walked in swinging mage dick around. We all knew what he was doing, and like no one really cared. We were like, dude, we're just a bunch of like dorky witches gathering. We're listening to music. We're having a little ritual. Our friends had their wedding ceremony. It was cute. Like you don't need to like this is not the space for that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're here just hanging out, and you're over here like I'm a very powerful occultist.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like, why?
It's like that meme where the guy's standing in the room and he's like, they have no idea I'm an uber, or I'm whatever, and in this case it's a uber powerful mage.
I used to be a little bit like that in my teen years. I'm not going to lie. Like when I first found witchcraft, and I felt very empowered in that, and I would be in places and I'd be like, yeah, But like it would be mundane spaces, thinking I'm, some big powerful wizard or whatever.
But Jay, you are.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Haha.
I am an and then someone's gonna
He's a
take that
super
sound clip
deadly
and ruin my
powerful
career.
man. No. Honestly, I don't think enough people watch our show for us to ever get any kind of clapback for most of what we say.
No,
And that's the way I like it. I don't want us to be super big. I've
I
said that a
got
million times.
we got like a couple like stupid comments. Someone called us groomers on YouTube because we
Gross.
made a comment in one of our episodes. We were like, I think I said something like, I always loved my teachers in school more than like I always had more love for my teachers than I had for my parents growing up. Because my teachers respected me more. So, and then the person commented like, "This is groomer speak for blah blah blah," and then I was like, "Oh, delete that comment. I don't need your
Yeah,
my
people
YouTube channel."
are shitty to say the least, my friend.
And then the other email we got was someone from Scott's.
Mhm.
It was bizarre.
Huh.
Yeah, it was utterly stupid. But yeah, whatever. You like the small community? I do too, Miguel. I really, it is not my intention. I joke a lot, and I do have, I have big dreams in the sense of like I want this to be successful. I do want like, being a witch to be a vocation in my livelihood. I want it to pay my bills because I don't want to, I don't care about the boring job. I don't have an industry that I really care about other than just serving people through witchcraft. But I really don't want this to become some super hyper commercialized capitalism thing either. So it's always gonna be my goal to keep in check, and I think the idea behind it is definitely keep it small.
I don't see how it
Most
would even
definitely.
be good if it was like capitalist and like selling
Yeah,
stuff based,
it wouldn't
because
make any
like
sense.
so much of what we've made ourselves on is like fuck capitalism, fuck capitalism, fuck
It's kind
capitalism,
of why
you
I'm
know.
nervous. It's kind of why I'm nervous to like actually finally launch the shop is because I'm like
Mhm.
because of, we get into that money buying thing part of it, and we're always like fuck capitalism. You always say in the show like, well, we have to exist within it, and it does cost me $60 a month to have the podcast, so I have to make some kind
So
of.
that's again the thing that ties this whole episode back to Cyberpunk again, as I'm shoehorning it in. Well, no, because seriously, the whole point of the game and the show and like the material is, can you really blame people for how they navigate capitalism in a system they didn't expressly consent to living under, right?
That is, yeah,
And it's
shit,
a hell of a question, ain't it?
and that's all we do, right? Like that's all we do is we just constantly like get on each other for how we live our lives in a broken system.
Mm-hmm. That none of us
Preach.
actually agreed to be a part of.
I say that all
Oh my
the idea of
god.
that like social contract.
So
Miguel was
Mm,
saying,
mm,
I
just
think most of us can understand that if magic could pay my necessities, exactly, better than making someone else rich. Like it's just, I don't know. I really like the idea of a universal basic income. Like if someone doesn't want to, like we shouldn't have to do these like ridiculous, stupid jobs. Like
mm-hmm.
our society really just it's designed to keep us down and keep the few up, and
Of course it
it's not
is.
great. It's just not great. And
When was it anything but?
right, and that's the thing is like people have been suppressing other people since people, so like since the existence of people, it's just
mhm.
That's not to excuse it at all for a
no, it
second, but
doesn't
it's
excuse
No.
it's
it,
just a
but
hard
it's
fucking truth.
yeah, it's a really hard truth to face because it just makes it like that much harder to argue, because a lot of people be like, well, that's human nature, that's what we do, blah blah blah, and it's like, well, then how come there's a bunch of other humans that say it doesn't have to be this way?
I
Like,
think any intrinsic cry to say this is human nature it's flawed, you know.
right,
To state anything, any one thing as a universal human nature is reaching at best.
right. I don't know. But We are at like an hour and 8. I was thinking if anyone wants, we have kind of come full circle. We've gone back to Cyberpunk. So,
go check it out. Don't be afraid of the bad reviews before. If you were interested in it, give it a little time.
does
See if you
anyone
like it.
have any cybernetic implants? Looking at
No, because we don't quite live in a society where we've gotten that far as to actually have them.
I always joke with Rue.
I have a piece of metal in my body that tells my body not to make babies, so that's pretty cybernetic.
The birth control implant. So I'm like, you're a cyborg.
It's cool.
Come
I can
on,
feel it.
get
It's like
netted.
Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, and really thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And Ken, thank you for stopping by. I saw you. So yeah, I guess we'll sign out here. Buy Cyberpunk. Try and find it on a deal. Always say
Well,
I don't pay full price.
You don't
for
have
it.
to
Like,
go
I
buy
really
it. I mean, steal it for all I care.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
fuck the corpos.
Obtain Cyberpunk through whatever means.
Maybe not even obtain it, but just it's a good material to look at if
I'll have to
you're
watch the show,
interested in
too.
anti-capitalist shit. Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's amazing and sad and gut wrenching. Expect a whole emotional roller coaster watching it. Just saying.
Sounds like a good time. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for stopping by, and we will see